Today's video features a lot of brand names but is sponsored by no one. You can see how to make the extracts in my video from last week. Here I have brand name vanilla extract, generic artificial vanilla flavor, and homemade vanilla extract made with bourbon. The store-bought extract has that strong, typical vanilla smell with just a slight earthiness. The artificial vanilla smells very similar, minus the earthy notes. It also smells a little stronger. Predictably, the bourbon has a big presence in the homemade extract. My extract is just a little lighter on that classic vanilla note than the other two are, but it's got a chocolatey kind of thing going on too, which is nice. It smells really sweet. I'm taste testing the extracts in two scenarios, cooked and uncooked. I'm using a basic buttercream frosting and sugar cookies. Both recipes used half shortening and half butter. I thought that would be a good choice since I want to be sure I can taste the flavor through the rest of the cookie, but I also want to be realistic and include some butter since most recipes have more than just one flavor going on. In the frosting, the store-bought vanilla extract reminds me of vanilla cake from a bakery, just a very classic vanilla flavor. My first thought when I taste the artificial vanilla is store-brand ice cream. It's definitely different from the real vanilla, and of course the flavor is simpler, but I wouldn't say that one is miles better or worse than the other, they're just different. The artificial vanilla does seem a little stronger than the other two when it strictly comes to the vanilla note of the taste. The frosting with homemade vanilla tastes definitively fancy to me, like something that would be in a sauce drizzled over a dessert at a nice restaurant. This is at least partially thanks to the bourbon. In the cookies, I almost couldn't detect the store-bought extract, which was strange. Maybe I'm just really used to it. The artificial vanilla was definitely there and seemed to emphasize the sweetness of the cookie. The homemade vanilla extract came through most clearly, which surprised me. I figured the bourbon would add a nice flavor, but I didn't think that the vanilla flavor would be as strong as the store-bought versions. I'm thinking that it must have gotten some sort of boost from the bourbon. The results were surprising enough that I even brought in a tasting buddy to get a second opinion. He came to the same conclusions. For whatever reason, the brand name extract just wasn't coming through, and the cookies made with the homemade extract had the strongest vanilla flavor. I've seen a couple articles contending that making homemade vanilla is actually more expensive than store-bought. While I'm sure it depends on when and where you're buying your beans, I would generally disagree. The lowest price I could easily find for real vanilla extract was on Costco's website, where a quart of vanilla extract would total $60 before tax right now. But you could easily make a quart of vanilla extract in the US for under $75, and then keep and reuse the beans multiple times, which would easily push it below the Costco price. And since the overall price of vanilla beans is rising at a much faster rate than inflation, investing in some beans right now that can last you several years might be a money-saving proposition. Whichever you choose, just know that almost anything is cheaper than these little bottles of brand name extract. If you're interested in a budget version of the homemade bourbon extract flavor, I bet you could achieve a great flavor using a combination of artificial vanilla and bourbon. It wouldn't be exactly the same, but it would be close enough to taste impressive probably, especially considering the low price. Here I have brand name chocolate extract, my homemade extract using vodka, and another homemade version using vanilla extract. The ingredient label on the store-bought version just says cocoa extract, so I'm not sure if they used raw or roasted beans. I used raw cacao beans in mine. In the biggest twist of the day, this chocolate extract smells a lot like soy sauce. I can detect the chocolate part, but I'm really getting a strong umami smell. Maybe it's because cacao beans are beans and beans have that umami feature to them? My homemade extract using vodka has a similar sort of thing going on. But in the other one where I used my homemade vanilla bourbon extract, the vanilla really sets off the cacao beans and creates a delicious chocolate smell. In both the frosting and the cookies, the store-bought chocolate extract added only the faintest cocoa flavor, while the homemade extract using vodka offered a bigger hit of flavor. And the homemade version using vanilla extract blew away the competition. While the vodka and cacao extract offered the flavor of cocoa, the cacao and vanilla extract imparted the true taste of chocolate to both the icing and cookies. The taste reminds me of a high-quality chocolate milkshake. To lower the steeping time, you could just put the vanilla beans directly into the bottle with the cacao nibs and bourbon, and it would be ready in a couple months. The store-bought lavender extract smells like lavender perfume, while the homemade version smells like lavender tea, which makes sense because the store-bought version only uses lavender oil and not the flavor compounds from the rest of the flower. I've had floral hard candies before, and the angel bake tastes like that, really straightforward and just in your face. The frosting is especially over the top. The homemade version tastes pretty and natural, definitely more earthy. I have a strong preference for the homemade version in both the icing and the cookies. This is probably because, like most Americans, I didn't grow up eating floral flavored desserts and candies, so I tend to associate pure lavender oil and rose oil with perfume. But of course, these two extracts just taste really different, so I'm sure it's a matter of preference. The smell and taste of the store-bought citrus extracts was straightforward and pretty strong because, like the lavender extract, they're made from only the oils of the fruit. The homemade versions smell more natural, like whole fruit. But I'm sorry to report that both the homemade lemon and orange extracts are practically undetectable in both the icing and the cookies. I was surprised since citrus zest itself tastes so strong. I tried doubling the extract in the frosting to see if that helped, but it just made the frosting taste more like vodka, which was not appealing. I'm sure they'd work really well if they were used as a liqueur in mixed drinks, but using them in small amounts isn't practical. If I tried them again, I'd pack as much zest as I could possibly fit into the jars before adding the vodka. I really want to make these work since I like the more nuanced smell and flavor of the homemade extracts on their own, but they're just too weak. For the time being, I'll be sticking with store-bought. Those are all the extracts I have for now. I think now I can officially call myself an amateur extract sommelier. Hopefully this provides you with a little insight as to which extracts are worth making at home. Before I go, I want to give an honorable mention to almond extract. Almond extract is one of my favorites. It's probably the second most popular flavoring in baking, so it would be nice if I could include it. But almond extract is made from the oil of bitter almonds, which have far more of that traditional almond flavor than typical sweet almonds. Bitter almonds are poisonous when raw and unrefined, so much so that the unrefined bitter almonds are prohibited from being sold to consumers in the US. So for almond extract, I recommend just sticking with store-bought. If you have any comments or questions, please leave them for me below. Thank you for watching. Bye.